Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial we're going to look at prepared statements, or at least the Spring equivalent of a prepared statement. And Spring provides you a very elegant mechanism for reusing statements, I guess kind of equivalent to JDBC's prepared statement. So to illustrate this, I'm going to add a method to offers DAO here that will add multiple offers. So we've already got this create method, but what if you've got a whole list of offer objects that you want to add to your database? You could loop through them and do this whole thing over and over again, but it's more efficient to get Spring to use a prepared statement so that it prepares the statement once and then it just executes it over and over again with different values filled in here. And the equivalent to a prepared statement in Spring is to do a batch update, at least for this kind of case. So I'm going to create a method public boolean create, same name, but it's going to take a list of offer objects. So let's say a list of offer, and I'll call that offers. And let's add the import for, actually let's first complete this method and return. Let's make it return naught. I'm actually going to return the number of rows that are added here, so I'll make it return an int. And I'm gonna use a method called batch update. And if you look at what this expects, we need to supply the objects somehow. Well, we need to supply either a map or a SQL parameter source, an array of maps, or an array of SQL parameter sources, where each map or each SQL parameter source will fill in the placeholder values in the SQL. So that sounds a little complex, but let's just look at how that works. So and also what I'll do is I just want to check the return value of this function. So if I hover my mouse over it here, then we can see that it returns an int array, and that's actually an array of integers where each value in that array is the number of objects updated. So actually let's make this return a int array, which makes more sense. So if I can find the right key on my keyboard, here we go. So we can just return this. So it's going to return an array of integers, and every value in that array is the number of objects affected by a particular run of this SQL, a particular execution of our prepared statement, if you like. So the SQL that we want to run is going to be this creation SQL. It's going to be exactly this. Let's just copy that. So we want to say insert into offers name, text, email, values, name, email and text. The difference is that we've got a list of offers that we want to insert, and so in JDBC you'd handle this situation by preparing a statement and executing it repeatedly for each offer in this list, and that's, I guess, what this batch update does, or something pretty similar. And to fill in these values, well, for each one we want, let's say, a bean property SQL parameter source, or perhaps a map SQL parameter source. For every single offer, we need to supply a different set of params here. So it won't surprise you, probably, therefore, to learn that what this is expecting is an array of, let's say, map SQL parameter sources. And to create those, we could loop through all these beans, and we could create like this. We could create a map for each bean and add the appropriate values to replace these placeholders for each bean in our list. But that's clearly a lot of work. Unfortunately, Spring provides us with a util method that can do that for us. So what we need to use is SQL parameter source utils, and that's got a method called create batch, and we supply to create batch an array of beans that contain that have properties corresponding to our placeholders. name, email and text in this case. Now we're supplying an array list here because in Java, of course, it's usually easier to work with lists or array lists or whatever. Well, this is actually just it could be any kind of list. It's easier to work with those than to work with an actual fixed size array. So to get from this list of offers to an array which we can supply to this method, I'm going to just use offers.toArray, which will return an array of objects. And although it's an array of objects, each object is actually going to be an offer object, of course, because that's what's in the list. And create batch here returns an array of SQL parameter sources. So SQL parameter source is the interface that both bean property SQL parameter source and map SQL parameter source implement. So I can say here SQL parameter source array, and let's call that params, equals SQL parameter source utils.create batch, and then I just supply to that an array of the objects that I want to use to create these SQL parameter sources. Let's add the import there for SQL parameter source, and finally I can supply that array of SQL parameter sources to my batch update. So now we've got a method which is going to run this statement for every object in this list. So if you look at it, if you're puzzled by this at all, then if you look at this,